A few years ago, I found myself sitting in a sterile grey office, and my boss was telling me my position was gone, eliminated. I had poured my entire identity into that job. It wasn't just what I did, it's who I was. And in that single gut-wrenching moment, I was sure my career was over. But I was dead wrong. That crushing moment turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Today, I'm going to share the exact mindset that flipped my biggest obstacle into my greatest success, and how you can use it to turn any crisis into your comeback story. Walking out of that building for the last time felt completely surreal. In one hand, I had a cardboard box with a sad-looking plant and a few photos. But what I was really carrying was this heavy, suffocating sense of failure. For weeks, I was just adrift, lost in this sea of self-doubt, with one question echoing in my head: why me? I replayed every meeting, every project, trying to figure out where I messed up. It felt so personal, like a final judgment on my worth as a person. And this feeling didn't just stay in the career box. Oh no, it started bleeding into every corner of my life. My confidence tanked. I became withdrawn and irritable, basically a walking rain cloud. When my friends tried to cheer me up, their words just sounded like empty platitudes. In my head, I was thinking, "You just don't get it. You don't see the scale of this disaster." I was stuck in a story of defeat, and I was the tragic main character. The world kept spinning, but I was frozen, trapped in a loop of everything I'd lost, totally convinced my best days were behind me. I saw it not as a bad chapter, but as the end of the whole book. That mindset, the belief that a setback is a permanent state, that was the real prison. My big turning point didn't come with a lightning strike or some dramatic movie moment. It was much quieter. It came after weeks of just wallowing. I was on my couch staring at a stack of bills, and I felt that familiar wave of panic starting to build. And I was just so tired. I was tired of feeling sorry for myself, tired of being angry, and honestly, tired of being scared. In that moment of complete burnout, a new question finally cut through the noise. It was quiet, but it was clear. What if this happened? For me, not to me. That one question changed everything. It was the first time I even considered that maybe the event wasn't the real problem. My interpretation of it was. For the first time, I stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What can I learn from this?" That was the pivot. It was the moment I stumbled out of a fixed mindset, which sees everything as set in stone, and into a growth mindset, which believes challenges are actually how we get better. I started to wonder if this devastating end was actually a new beginning in a really good disguise. The challenge was the same, but my relationship with it was about to transform. I realized that the struggle itself could be the very thing that sparks positive psychological change, a phenomenon researchers call post-traumatic growth. Once I made that shift, I started to build a repeatable framework for turning any obstacle into an opportunity. It really boils down to 3 core ideas I live by now. First, you have to become a challenge archaeologist and dig for the real problem. After a big setback, our vision is clouded by the immediate pain. We see the symptom, not the cause. For me, the symptom was, I lost my job, but that wasn't the real problem. As I started digging, like an archaeologist carefully brushing dirt off a discovery, I found the truth. The root cause wasn't that I was incompetent. It was that my skills had become outdated in a fast-changing industry. I had gotten comfortable. I had gotten complacent. And that distinction is everything. You can't solve "I lost my job," that already happened. But you can absolutely solve "my skills are outdated." See the difference? One is a dead end, the other is a roadmap. When you're facing a challenge, resist the urge to just focus on the surface level pain. Ask deeper questions. Is the problem that you had a fight with your partner? Or is the root issue a communication breakdown that's been brewing for months? Finding the root cause turns an overwhelming crisis into a specific, manageable puzzle you can actually solve. The second principle is to reframe failure as fuel. Every setback, every mistake, every no, it's all just data. It's not a judgment of your worth, it's feedback. It's information telling you what isn't working, so you can adjust your strategy. Once I realized my outdated skills were the issue, the failure of losing my job was instantly reframed. It became the data point that showed me exactly where I needed to invest in myself. That setback became my curriculum. It pushed me to upskill and reskill, turning the obstacle into a launchpad. High performers do this all the time. A scientist whose experiment fails doesn't quit science. They analyze the data and create a new hypothesis. An athlete who loses a game studies the tape to find weaknesses. They see failure as instructive, not final. To do this, you have to separate your identity from the outcome. Instead of saying, "I am a failure," you say, "I failed at this one thing, and here's what I learned." That little shift drains the emotional poison from failure and turns it into a powerful tool. And that brings us to the third, and maybe the most important principle. Build your bounce factor, your resilience muscle. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's a skill you build through practice, just like going to the gym. It's your ability to bounce back from adversity, and it gets stronger every single time you face uncertainty and make it through. This doesn't mean you have to take huge, terrifying risks. In fact, the best way to build it is with consistent micro-actions. Take small, manageable steps that push you just a little bit outside your comfort zone. By consistently facing down small bits of uncertainty, you build up your tolerance for it and get better at creative problem solving. This is where we can borrow a page from ancient Stoic philosophy. Focus only on what you can control. You can't control the economy, another person's actions, or the fact that a challenge popped up. But you can always control your response. When you pour your energy into your reaction, your mindset, and your next small step, you take your power back from the chaos. You build the deep-down confidence that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That's the core of real resilience. So, what happened after I got fired? I went all in on these principles. The challenge archaeologist in me identified my skills gap. Reframing that failure as fuel, I didn't just look for another job in a dying field. I enrolled in courses to learn skills for the future of my industry. I used my support network not to complain, but to find mentors who were already where I wanted to be. And to build my resilience muscle, I took on small freelance projects, testing my new skills and rebuilding my confidence one step at a time. It wasn't easy, and it definitely didn't happen overnight. But that journey, which started from a place of absolute devastation, led me to a whole new career. A path I never would have found if I hadn't been forced off the old one. Today, the work I do is more fulfilling and more impactful than I ever could have imagined in my old role. The crisis that I thought was the end of the road was really just a redirection. It was the catalyst I needed to truly grow. The challenges in your life are not there to break you. They're there to show you where you need to grow. They're the weights in the gym of life, and lifting them is what makes you stronger. So remember, be a challenge archaeologist and find the real problem. Reframe your failures as fuel, it's just data, and intentionally build your bounce factor, your resilience muscle. A challenge is just an opportunity waiting for you to see it the right way. It's your chance to adapt, to evolve, and to become a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Now, if you like this way of turning challenges into opportunities, you're going to love this video over here, where I break down the 5 daily habits that build unstoppable resilience. Click on it now and let's keep this journey going.